she's like, bro, what do you mean do things differently? Dream wedding, dream house. He's going, well, maybe. Tonight we're talking about a couple who traded in their wedding and their dream house for financial freedom. Would you be able to do that? Might get a little spicy for some people.
Two things. One, we keep hearing about our dynamic between you and I.
Yeah.
I think, and what that's prompting is I'm getting a lot more couples saying, hey, what you and your wife are doing resonates. And so we're really eager to hear your thought process and your perspective on what it is we're thinking about doing. What it boils down to is we got a couple, young couple, fairly young couple. So currently 32 years old, making about $69,000 a year. And his fiance, Jess, is making about $52,000. And they're in the process of blending their life together. They just wanted to kind of talk through some things before they completely headed down that path. And we've all been here, especially any of us who have had any successful career or merged a life or gotten married. We've all been at this point where, hey, we've been making this money for so long, and then all of a sudden we get this promotion, and now our stuff and things have to now match that money that we're now making. They are at this threshold to where they have decent money. They've been making this money for some time. They don't really have a whole lot of debt. You know, the basic car note, rent, trying to transition into a home type stuff, but nothing major, nothing that requires, call it some drastic action, but they're about to merge their households. And one, the gentleman is focused on, hey, it's time to get that dream home. I'll be making more money than I've ever made. And Jess is like, you can miss me with that until we get married. This is all about the dream wedding, right? And so there are dollar amounts associated with both of these. And as it relates to the promotion, Jerry's on par for his income increasing from $69,000 up to $83,000. He's got a signing bonus coming. They're looking to relocate, so relo is paid for, and I think there's even a relo bonus as well, meaning some assistance in helping them buy a home. And as a result, that's right, and it is changing roles. So it's a brand new position because he also is freeing up his previous employer's 401k, which means there's an opportunity to leverage his previous employer's 401k if required. And again, looking at, becoming self-directed, taking control, understanding the strategies that we talked through, a self-directed IRA, a 401k, infinite banking, velocity banking, MPI, and a first position HELOC. What he's looking to do is just take advantage of some of these things because, hey, he's putting himself, or he's going to be placed in a position where he's never seen money like this before. So here's an opportunity to just do things a little bit differently, not go down the traditional path of getting a mortgage. Hey, is there a first position HELOC opportunity? And then for Jess, because she is on board with relocating, it has already gotten a job in the new city as well. They're moving from Tampa, Florida to Kansas City. And so she's gotten a raise in her income as well. And in addition, because she's changing companies, there's an opportunity to leverage her previous employer's plan. So they have a lot. I've been talking about this for the last few weeks. They've got a lot of good problems. Meaning these aren't the traditional, hey, I'm stuck in debt and I haven't figured out how to get out of it. It's really more of there's a lot of spinning plates. How do we kind of merge all of this together and put together a system that can actually work for our advantage? Jerry is very much about, hey, let's get moving and let's get headed to Kansas City so that we can get this brand new house, get our dream house going. And she's like, well, hold on. We've got a wedding to plan. And we've all been here. There's this crossroads of what do we do with this cash? What do we do with this influx of money that we currently have? We've gotten this promotion. We're making more money. Do we deep dive into this brand new home and go into this $500,000 mortgage and put ourselves into debt that we end up having these next 30 years to pay off? Do we splurge on I'll call it a wedding for $30,000, even though I've got the resources? I've got the previous employer's plans. I've got the bonus coming. I've got my parents that can assist with a part of this wedding. Like, what makes the most sense? And maybe there's even an opportunity to do all of it. So there was just, I think what they were just looking for from us is some clarity. And hey, here are all the pieces to the puzzle. Hey, can you help us put together a puzzle that fits? And as most of you guys know, especially any of you that have actually spent some time with me, I am all for helping you achieve your goal. I'm not here to push my agenda or my goal onto you. So if you tell me you want you're trying to free up cash to be able to put together a wedding for $30,000, I'm going to show you how you can free up some cash flow to be able to do that. If your objective is to be able to qualify for a first position HELOC on a new purchase, which is an example we've never gone over, but you absolutely can qualify for a first position HELOC on a new purchase. Most of the time we talk about refinancing from a 30-year mortgage into a HELOC, but you absolutely can buy a home that way. Now, the home itself has to be a unique circumstance to do it, but you can. And, so if the other objective is to kind of understand where we are financially or credit wise to be able to do so, I'm happy to help. And just like everyone, usually there's one spouse that catches us on YouTube, and then there's another going, what is this nonsense? And where are you getting your advice from? And this is kind of one of those situations where, again, he's been watching us religiously, and his wife is like, I have no idea what it is you're talking about. And I'm kind of sick of my husband sending me videos all the time. But the moral of the story is I ended up getting them both on a Zoom.
Well, hold on a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she has a plan. And
absolutely, she has a plan.
She has boxes to check. Like now, her whole life, there's Pinterest boards, there's all kinds of things that we're programmed with. And so now she's like in go mode. And he's like, oh, you know what? Maybe we should do this a little bit differently. And she's like, bro, we're going forward with this. Like, what do you mean do things differently? Dream wedding, dream house, let's do it. We've done all of the things to be able to be at this point right now. Now I'm ready to go. I'm ready to check these boxes with you. And he's going, well, maybe we should do it a different way. And for sometimes these pivots in the midst of a plan start to feel to the other person like, and the way they're communicated, I think, is probably equally as important.
Absolutely, because this could look a lot like My Way or the Highway versus
or Cold Feet,
right? Or I'll call it a cohesive moving down this path together, locked arms on the same page, and it could also fracture things for the future.
Right.
There's a lot here.
Yeah, but also doing this the wrong way feels like a win, feels like a successful, beautiful wedding. You got the book, you've got everything else, you've got the house, you've got all these things, and you're feeling so good about yourself and the things that you have accomplished, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of couples can't see how these decisions are actually fractures later on down the line as to why things will fall apart, which is why this is the number one reason why people get a divorce is over money and planning. So I know that a lot of people will not agree with us talking about this, but it is so important for us to talk about because decisions at this stage are crucial to the future. And I think a lot of people are waking up going, golly, why did we fall for all that? Why did we spend all this money on one day? Did it make a difference to our marriage? And what would that have looked like if we would have invested that and seeded that into our marriage? Because a better wedding does not mean a better marriage, right?
Right.
Better house doesn't mean a better marriage. Yeah.
And you know me, when we jump on the call, what do? Hey, what's the goal? And I sit and listen and I take notes because I want to hear what your goal is. And I love it when people throw my words back at me because just about everything they asked for was a video we've done or something that we've talked about. And I think they feel like, hey, we're in this position where, again, we're making more money than we've ever made. Right. We have an opportunity to check all of those boxes that you talked about, put ourselves in a better place for our WTF moment, so on and so forth. So it was, what would a first position HELOC look like if we were looking to make a purchase? Hey, is there a way that we can use velocity banking to get ourselves in a much better, I'll call it credit worthy profile such that we can qualify for things like this? And then when it comes to these previous employers' plans that they each now have, how can we leverage these to make this, process go even smoother, all because based off their goal, hey, we've got a $500,000 home we're trying to purchase. And there's this $30,000 wedding that we want to be able to, put all the pieces in place for as well. And so I'm just writing down things to kind of align with, okay, how do we hit this objective? And then I was asked this strange question of, but what would you do? And my response was, do you really like, if you ask me what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you what I want to, but these are just words. Like you taking action on them is, you have the, there's no obligation here. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a tax attorney. I can't give you financial advice. I can't tell you what to do with your money. But if you're asking my opinion on how I would handle this, it would all, to me, start with your goal. And they said, well, you've heard our goal. No, I didn't hear your goal. I heard today, this is what it is you wanting to do. When we peel that layer back, meaning, I get it. You want to buy the home because you feel like that's the next stage in your relationship, next stage in your life, next stage in your adulthood. And I get it. The wedding matters. And again, I'm not a girl, so I don't have a Pinterest board. And this is not something that I've been dreaming about all my life, but I am not here to tell you that you should not have your magical princess moment. That's not right.
Or tell her mom.
Right. Or
right?
her dad.
Because sometimes the wedding isn't even really about them. It's really about everybody else.
Right.
That's
I agree
the
with
truth.
You.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And so, but when I started peeling the layers back, what did I learn? Well, I learned that, you know what? It's really more about security. This young man really wants to take care of this woman. And one of his biggest concerns are, will we be okay in the future? So security is a big one. So when you start looking at security, then okay, I asked a very simple question. What are we doing right now to make sure that your situation is secure? Where's your money going? So there's this security piece. And as we start peeling back these layers, we end up at this crossroads. And again, because you have this ability to take action on some things that you've never been able to do in the past, there's this opportunity to go, hey, do we go the traditional route? The traditional approach of how we've always done things? Or is there an opportunity here where you can literally pay yourself first? And I'll explain what I mean by that, but it kind of all starts with, what's the goal? Is it security? Is it retire early? What are those pieces to the puzzle that you currently have in place, and how are you handling those things now? Family. We haven't talked about kids. Where do they fit in this process? And then that big piece of legacy. What happens when you are at this age where, we've done our part and now we want to make sure the rest of the family's, ready to go and all of those pieces to the puzzle are in place. So what is the real goal? And the real goal was around security, retiring early, family, and legacy. I don't hear anywhere in there how a $500,000 home or a $30,000 wedding solves any of those problems.
The reason why I have it in there, if you zoom in, it's the gift part. It's right now, what is the goal? Because whatever it is that you put inside of this box, starting right now, is the gift you get to open later on for your future self. What is it going to be in the box? That's really the question that you're asking them without asking them that question. And to them, they're going, well, we had the memories of all of the things that we're going to do, of course, starting with this wedding that's going to be epic, and I'm going to love it, and I'm going to look like a princess, a Disney princess. I always wanted to do that, and I get to have my dream thing happen, right? Then we're going to live in this house, and we're going to feel so proud of ourselves living in this house because we've been able to check a box because we've been working hard and we freaking deserve it. That's the other part, is that why would we work this hard and why would we have achieved this level of success in life if we can't live up to this level?
I think they call it the American dream.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, we see people that live at this level, they drive this kind of car.
Stuff and things.
So we deserve to drive that kind of car. It's not that people are don't get it. It's that we are literally programmed for these things, and we have justifications are like Halloween candy. You can get it at any door. Just ding dong, trick or treat. Justifications for anything you want in life. They're the keys to unlock making sense of your decisions. And so this is the moment. This graphic right here is like, if you open up the box, you could be opening up worrying for the rest of your life, dependent, your future tied to the stock market, tied to things that you can or cannot control. Or the other side is what April was saying in the chat. I don't really care about the retiring early part. I want financial independence. I do not want to depend on Social Security or any of these other programs, which are things that we can't control, right? So I'm with her on that, which is exactly what we're saying here is you have financial independence. The only reason why you should retire early is if you have in tax-free income for life that will cover all of your expenses, right? Not that you have enough, not that you can alter your lifestyle to be enough, because you can't control inflation, right? So you have to continue growing your money. And that's the part. This is not about what's enough. This is about creating generational wealth as well. So what is in your box? And if you're not paying attention to what you're putting in that box today, you're going to open up that box in 20, 30 years and you're going to go, what the heck was this?
Why didn't why didn't I know? Why didn't someone tell me?
Why didn't someone tell me?
Right.
Why didn't my parents, who were hell bent on me having this wedding, why weren't they even like, hold on, you might not want to do this. It was their dream too. Like they're all in the same cycle, right? Because they already come to that realization. They're at that age, right? So the people around you, your boss, whoever it is that mentors you or is in that kind of position, you're absolutely right. Why aren't more people pause, hard stop, don't do it.
Yeah, let's do the math.
Yeah.
And this is that threshold moment. This is really more about the next layer of the stuff and things moment. We've got stuff and things. Now there's time, because we make more money, there's time to get more stuff and things. Do we get more stuff and things, putting us in a position to where now we become dependent on that system? And now our retirement and everything that we want to do related to our true goal is wrapped up in that system? Or is there an opportunity to look at this? And again, I go back to pay yourself first, because if you can pay yourself first, you can then dictate what these next stages look like. I'm not, a tyrant. Like, I get it. There's a win-win opportunity here. So I'm not saying don't get married. I'm not saying don't buy a house. But does it have to be a $500,000 house? And does it have to be a $30,000 wedding? And just, again, I like to do the math. And you can kind of see it over there to the right a little bit. Jerry was making 69. He's now making 83. That's a difference of $14,000. Again, he's not hurting for income today. So what if he behaved as though that 14K doesn't even exist? And Jess makes 52 today and will soon be making 65. That's a difference of $13,000.
Yeah.
What if she behaved as though that 13,000 doesn't even exist?
Yeah.
You add that 14 and that 13, that's 27 grand. Okay, there's going to be an increase in income and there's a tax implication. So let's say after taxes, that's more like 24,000. That's $2,000 a month. That's $1,000 for each of them a month that can go somewhere and go create employees, go build compound interest, go do something other than go towards a mortgage that it's going to take them 30 years to pay off and they'll still end up paying double for this house, or put themselves in a situation where they've got this $30,000 bill for this wedding that, you know what? We really didn't need to spend all of that to be able to have a successful wedding. So to me, the win-win is, can we back down on that dollar amount for the wedding, and can we back down on that dollar amount for the home? And I think the bucket that because they've been kind of filling these buckets to kind of put money in. So I'm trying to fill up this bucket for this $30,000 wedding, and they anticipate a $25,000 lump sum on a home. Well, when I did the math backwards on what a $25,000 lump sum looks like, a $25,000 lump sum at a 5% down payment, that's a $500,000 home. That is the $500,000 home. So what if we back that down to $30,000? And again, focused on just that 5%, but it's more of a starter home. And knowing what I know about Kansas City, just because I lived there for 13 years, coming from Tampa, Florida to Kansas City, cost of living is a little bit higher in Tampa than it is in Kansas City. So you can absolutely get a nice home for $300,000 compared to the $500,000 that you were thinking about. We have additional income available to us. How do we put that dollar amount to work? And notice, I'm not touching any of their additional income. Current income. I'm not touching any of their current savings. So there's still an opportunity to use that $15,000 bonus to go do whatever you need to do with your wedding. And between the bonus and the savings, still put down a decent down payment. And they have relo assistance, which there's a portion that will also be picked up by the company that he's working for in that transition. So there's a whole lot of pieces here that I didn't even dive into, but it was simply, what can we do with that $2,000 a month? So if you jump over to the calculator, I make this really, really quick because it's really simple. So Jess is 28 years old. If I just run this out to 55, because what I want to normalize is retiring early. And to April's point, for me, it's not about the word retire. It's about you being placed in a position where you can do what you want to do with whoever you want to do at that point in time. So it's not that I quit working. It's that all of my needs are met based off this vehicle that all it does is print money for me. And so therefore now I have choices. I can continue working for that company that I love for as long as I want, but I'm not beholden to that company. Meaning if I wake up tomorrow and I decide I'm going to do something different, my purpose looks different, I get to transition or make that transition, and there's no one preventing me or stopping me from being able to do so. I think that's the piece for me as it relates to retire. It's not a number. It's really more about, I'll call it a state of mind, an attitude. And so 28 years old, 55, if she was to put away, again, it's $2,000 in total, but I'm doing $1,000 for each of them. So they'll both have their own secure compound interest account, putting away $1,000 a month. By age 55, Jess would have available, and now this is Jess alone, just her policy, her secure compound interest account would have $150,000 tax-free for the rest of her life. She'd have a liquid asset of about 1.4 million, all because they decided at day one to pay themselves first. And if they were to take this same, I'll call it thought process, as they moved up in their job, as they got more promotions, maybe $1,000 a month is a certain percentage of their income. If they keep that same percentage, this number gets even higher and they're able to achieve that dollar amount even faster. But at age 55, 4 years before we are all somewhat allowed to retire, she would be able to achieve $149,000 tax-free for life. This is buying a death benefit of about a $500,000. And if something were to happen to her around that 55 years of age, we're talking about $3.4 million. So we've got your legacy, we've got your income, you've got your ability to pay off a home if you wanted to. We have your ability to now buy multiple homes if needed. And this is just Jess by herself. What does this look like for Jerry at the same age? Meaning I'm going to keep 55, even though Jess wouldn't be 55 at that point. I'm just using 55 from the perspective of the option to retire early if they wanted to. And looking at the same dollar amount, it's still a six-figure income. So between them both, by age 55, we're talking about $200,000 plus annually, tax-free for the rest of their life, all because they chose at this point, at this threshold, at this position where, you know what, they could either go the traditional route, jump into debt, and take the traditional approach of how we've all done it in the past versus paying themselves first, could put themselves in a much, much different, much better position. And we're talking about, for him, a nest egg of about $934,000. So I wanted to highlight a few different milestones. What does this look like 15 years later? So just simply 15. He's 32. 15 years later, he would be, 45? No, 15, 47. 47. So we're talking about $40,000 annually, 15 years after starting this process. So if they needed or wanted to buy their dream home or pay a bill or supplement income, they have an asset worth $360,000 and an income available of $40,000 at the 15-year mark. What other vehicle could they put that same $1,000 in and have an asset worth $350,000 or $360,000 and being able to produce about $40,000 tax-free in income at year 15? So it's $40,000 for him, and I think it's the same for her, to be honest, because this calculator averages, so they're about in the same bucket. So 15 would be 43. So yeah, it's right around the same dollar amount. So 40,000 each. So that's 80 grand between the two of them, all because they've decided to take this action. And then when you look at this at 20 years later, so again, by 48, not even 50 years old, by 48, we're talking about an asset worth $75,000. And again, it would be the same for him. So they would each, or in total, they would have $150,000 tax-free between them to go be able to do whatever they want. And that's waiting 15 years or waiting 20 years. But they don't even have to do that. This is an asset that is liquid that they have access to whenever they would want. Yep. So my point is just this. At that 15-year mark, between the two of them, there's an opportunity for still $80K tax-free. And at the 20-year mark, there's an opportunity for $150K on top of everything else that they're doing. On top of the good job that they both have, on top of the career that they love, and all because they decided at this juncture, this is a critical spot. Do we go into debt, get this $500,000 home that, yes, we can afford, but does it really produce or does it lend to the goals that we had identified? And do we jump into this $30,000 wedding that, yes, gives me my princess moment, but does it lend to what those goals were? And that was retire early, build a legacy, focus on an opportunity to create a position for family, and also be able to produce income. And that's it.
Hey, before you go, we want to remind you that becoming fully self-directed means gaining complete control over your wealth, time, and freedom. It's not just an idea. It's a framework, a mindset, and the power to make informed decisions to secure your future. Being here means you're taking those steps, and we want to thank you for allowing us to guide you. We believe that we grow farther and faster when we grow together. So tune in next time and tell a friend to tell a friend. We've helped thousands of people just like you start their journey to financial freedom. And if they can do it, you can too. And if you're ready to learn more, we got you. Get a head start by grabbing these 2 free books. But how do they get them, Donnell?
Head over to my website where you'll have access to a few things. A ton of free resources, case studies, and over 100 5-star reviews from people just like you. And in 15 minutes, we can explore what's possible for you. So don't wait.
Invest in what you want, when you want.
But first, let us help you
Get self-directed.